Welcome to Lagniappe Live, the business spotlight, a space where bold women are seen, real stories are honored, and business is built with purpose. Hosted by Helena Richardson, founder and CEO of H Rich Networks, former NASA IT specialist, digital strategist, and community builder. From New Orleans roots to national Welcome impact, to Lagniappe Live, the business brings together technology, a space where bold women are seen, creating platforms where women lead boldly and communities grow stronger. This is where journeys are shared, voices are amplified, and legacy is built together. I'm so glad you're here. Let's introduce today's guest.
Please join me in welcoming Robyn Roots, RN, MSN, CDNE, widely known as the Student Loan Navigator. Robyn is a trusted strategist helping individuals take control of their financial futures by navigating student loan debt with clarity, confidence, and real results. Beyond financial advocacy, she's an award winning filmmaker and producer of 2020 Year of the Nurse, and a nationally recognized nurse with over 30 years of impact in healthcare education and equity. Whether she's guiding financial freedom or amplifying powerful stories, Robyn's mission is clear: to educate, uplift, and empower. Ladies, let's give a true WNC Lanyard welcome to a woman who brings knowledge, purpose, and power into every space she enters. Please
Real
welcome
stories are honored.
Robyn Roots. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lanyard Live with Helena, the business spotlight, where we connect.
And business is built with purpose. Hosted by
Just trying to see.
Helena Richardson, CEO of H.
Okay. Um, Let me start over. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lanyard Live with Helena, the business spotlight, where connections, clarity, and community together. Whether you're joining us live or watching the replay, we are so grateful that you've chosen the time to spend with us. Get ready for a powerful and purpose-filled conversation. Helena Richardson, founder of WNC Lagniappe and H Rich Networks. I'm honored to be your guide today to guide this conversation. So let's get started. Hi, Robyn, how are you today?
Hi, Helena. I am wonderful. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're going to jump right in, and I'm just excited that you were able to join us today. I see a few things jumping up on my screen for right now, but let me see here. I was having some trouble with the live. Give me 1 minute.
H Rich Networks, former NASA IT specialist, digital strategist, and community builder. From New Orleans roots to national Welcome impact, to Lagniappe Live, the business brings.
I'm not sure why it's constantly doing that. Let's see.
Technology.
It's technology, right? So I'm going to see if I know we're live. Let's see.
Together technology, a space where bold women are seen.
Well, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but I do have another way to have this shared. But anyway, let's start with the first question. What led you to focus specifically on helping nurses and public service professionals navigate and eliminate student loan debt?
That's a powerful question. Just a techie thing. I can see your screen where you got your all of your information on here. You may want to minimize that.
Okay, let's see.
There you go. I can see you in the big screen, and I'm in the corner.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay.
Think you good to go?
I think we are. I mean, I tell you,
It's
things don't
okay.
go the way that you want it to go, but guess what? We're gonna keep it moving, right?
Yeah. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Robyn Roots. I am a nurse by day, film producer, and also known as a student loan navigator. It is such an amazing opportunity to be able to work with people with student loan debt. And I know that you asked me a really poignant question, what led me to focus in this area. Being a nurse for over 35 years and just being around professionals my whole career, we all had student loan debt. Because when you're saying you're going to be a doctor, nurse practitioner, dietitian, and so forth, we really invested a lot in our education. So those were some of the conversations that I was a part of. So choosing to be almost like an advocate for people with student loan nurses is so in alignment with my nursing career as a whole. So that's why I chose this path, because I really did see the impact that can have on you, when you're thinking about the future. And I actually had student loan debt myself, was able to get it forgiven and also a refund. And once I learned that skill set, I really started really digging deep and learning, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Um, that's, very powerful, especially, when you talk about being able to serve others, right? And the nurses and the public servant really give so much. You guys, my husband is a nurse, as you know, and it's very important that we are, they are, or you guys, even us that are lay people, are supported financially.
Absolutely, because that's a part of health to me. Health
Mhm.
and wealth go together. If you're healthy physically, but your finances are not in order, it tends to affect your physical health, because it's stressful when you got $400,000 or $500,000 worth of student loan debts, over your head, and you're trying to navigate through life, because it always pops back up.
Yes. So, that can spur right into one of our questions. For someone who's listening and who feels overwhelmed or stuck, what is the first step that they would take to just gain clarity about their student loans?
I think it's important to face it. A lot of times with my clients, they'll tell me, Miss Robyn, I haven't looked at my loan in 3 or 4 years. I don't even want to deal with it. But something has shifted in their life, whether they're getting ready to get married, or they got a child getting ready to go to school, or they're trying to purchase a home. Now it's like, I need to get these things in order so that I can qualify. So they will call me, and we'll have those discussions as to their why. Why now? Because I'm always interested in that, because some people have had loans over 20 years. A lot of us have.
Mhm.
So usually it's a life-changing event that makes them say, hey, I need to focus on this and get this handled, especially after the New Year's. We always have resolutions. And so I make sure my clients understand that we're going to be like family. We're going to be working together probably 2 to 3 months, because it's a process, paperwork, and then we're waiting on outcomes from the education department, and then we move forward as we get feedback. So we become friends and family, and we're in partnership. I tell them, it's us, me and you.
That's amazing. And we need that. That's community, right?
Absolutely.
So what is the biggest misconception you see people have about student loan forgiveness or repayment programs?
A lot of times people think it's a scam. They're afraid to attempt it because it's so much information. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And so they don't know who to trust and how to go about even navigating. And so that's why this was so dear to my heart. Being a nurse, people trust me because it's one of the most trusted professions already. And I've had clients very anxious, and we get to talking about it. And I explain to them, as a nurse, I have integrous, um, commitment to my community. So therefore, I would never try to, misrepresent what's going to be happening with this process. I try to explain to them it's not a guarantee that we're going to get your loans forgiven, but by the time we look at everything that's going on, they're going to have clarity. They're not going to have all the confusion and anxiety that they've been told in silence. Because I've met people that, plan on getting married. And they're like, I got like $100,000 in college debt. I don't want that to ruin the relationship. But then they don't want to not share that. And so I said, well, once we lay out a plan, when you talk to your fiance, you can let them know. And 9 times out of 10, they may understand. If you're a dietitian or you a mental health specialist, you went to college. You didn't make a bad decision, but now later in life, we have to deal with that. And I think also people think when I retire and I start Social Security, I won't have to pay my student loan. That's not true. You still owe that money. But what we have to do now is, look at strategies to get that payment lowered or get that payment forgiven. Because I've had family members reach out to me because they're helping their mom or their dad who is retired. They on a fixed income, but they might owe $700 a month on the student. It makes no sense. The numbers don't add up. So I said, hey, let's set up a call, and then we get down to business. And I'm grateful that I'm able to, lay out a plan. It's so parallel to nursing. Identifying a problem, then you're figuring out what we need to do next. And then laying out this, because as patients as well as people with student loan debt, it is a partnership. I can teach you anything about preventing hypertension and diabetes, but when you go in the grocery store, when you go to your house, when you go to your restaurant, you are on your own. You got to make good, as my daughter say, make good choices.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that's how it is with the student loan debt. We have to really look at it, and then you got to make good choices and make a decision. This is the way I want to go about this, and stick to it. Don't quit on me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that clarity is so important, and it's unfortunate that a lot of us can be retired and still have a student loan debt, and we're no longer working in that field or anything of that nature. But that misconception really keeps people stuck longer than they really need to be.
Absolutely. And then I meet a lot of clients that didn't finish school and they got these debts, or they finished school and they never worked in that field. So it's an opportunity for me to really understand the dynamics of what clients are going through. So it helps me to be a better navigator because I can direct people better. After each client, I learn something new, and then I'm able to expand on my expertise as well.
Yes. So we talked about clarity. So what about financial clarity or the lack thereof, and how it impacts nurses, public servants, and how they show up in their career and their personal life?
Anytime we have debt, and it don't even have to be student loan debt. It can be you bought a new car, and that's a new expense in the house. Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out, okay, how do we make this, smooth to where every day you're not thinking about how am I going to pay my car note? How am I going to? And in the same instance, that's how these student loans are. People have been walking around with this elephant in the room that you didn't know about. And that's why when you come to them and say, Robyn, I got this great business idea, it's wonderful, but I got student loan debt. So I'm not going to tell you I got student loan debt. I just might say, you know what, it's just not a good time, or maybe I'll think about it. But yet and still, it hinders the ability to buy a house, to buy a car, to plan a big wedding, to do vacations, because it's so much financial strain on us as a society. Because as we know, everything, prices have went up. So financial literacy is key. Basic budgeting, understanding how much you make and how much you keep. And so when you're looking at student loan debt, a lot of people have put it to the side because they got so many other expenses that are priority right now. You know, when you got a child in the 10th grade doing well in school and y'all talking college, and you know, I got to get this straight. And so I really try to listen to everyone's story, and we talk about, you know, how they feel about it and why now, and then what we can do together. And I can tell you, I have met some of the most amazing people. I've been able to get over 2.8 million forgiven. Oh, wow. I've been able to get people's payments that were as high as $3,000 a month, which is makes no sense.
Just have to clap on that. Just have to give you a clap on that, man.
Yeah, and I have been working with clients. Their payment is $3,000 a month. That makes no sense to me. And then if their income is like 90,000 a year, the numbers just don't add up. And so I'm like, how did this payment come about? And it was nothing that they remember filling out paperwork for or anything. They were just rolled into different payment plans. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to be proactive, not reactive. We need to look at this. We need to go back in and file for a different type of student loan plan. And so it's so important that they understand that they have options. Because a lot of people feel like it's a scam, or I've had clients that have worked with other people down through the years, and they would tell me, are you really real? Because I was paying somebody $200 a month and they never did anything, and my loans never got forgiven, and da-da-da. I said, well, who was the company, and did you follow up? And most of the time they're so overwhelmed. And so I've been able to gain their trust and also be very informative with them. I think knowledge is key. People feel better when they have more information, and then they pick what they want to choose. You know how we do on internet. We listen to a lot of podcasts and different things, but everything is not for us, but you pick out what applies to your life. And so it's important for me to meet my clients where they at, give them the tools they need. And I tell them a lot of times, if they're married, why don't you talk to your husband about your next move? And they're like, oh, he's like, I need to get rid of this because this is, you know, we get ready to retire. And so we work together as a team. And a lot of my business comes from referrals. And I will get a message from somebody and they'll say, did you see something, a post and somebody put about you? And I said, no, I didn't. And I'm so excited that even as I'm still nursing, but not full time, I'm still able to serve. I'm still able to empower people to where they feel like they can move on to the next phase of life. So it's just important financially to not be afraid to face your debt, because you're not locked in. I'm a spiritual person, you know, and God always has provided what we need. The answer is there, but it's not going to jump on you. You got to put some skin in the game, and you got to apply. And one thing I've learned about debt, the more debt people owe, the softer they speak about it. What I mean by that, like I'll have a call with a client and they'll say, I got a lot of debt. And I say, well, you know, give me a ballpark figure. And they'll say, like, and I'm like, what'd you say? And they'll say, about $200,000. I said, okay, okay. And we'll move briskly. And
Mhm.
at the end, they'll say, Miss Robyn, did you hear me? I said, I've had clients that had $500,000. I said, I hear you. They're
Mhm.
like, oh my God. And I said, trust me, most people that have student loan debt look like me. They drive cars like me, live in houses like me, because they invested in themselves young and got their degree.
Yeah.
So we're not going to say we made a bad decision. We just never knew how this student loan really, really functioned and multiplied. So that's why I love educating people on that, because they got a sister, they got a child, they got a neighbor that's going through it too. And they take that information and share it. Next thing you know, I'm getting referral after referral. So I love what I do.
That's wonderful. So the connection between financial stress and emotional bandwidth is very real.
Yes,
Um, and it really affects how we show up, our
absolutely.
family, in our relationships, in our home, in our jobs, etc. And I love that you turn your knowledge into impact, you know. And so let me ask this question here. You've turned specialized knowledge into meaningful impact. What advice do you have for professionals who want to leverage their expertise to serve others and to build sustainable platforms?
Never underestimate your value. The world is waiting on you.
Mhm.
And when we transition from, working in the corporate space and saying, hey, I really, want to help this demographic. Because sometimes you like people that work in banking industry, they work with millionaires and investing. But then they say, my community could benefit from this. But you can't service your community if you're a private banker and all that stuff, because you got to have a lot of money. But I think it's important to know that everything that you've learned can be translated to someone else. That's why, taking classes and learning how to teach and how to really inspire people to want to learn, what you're doing. And as a nurse, I've inspired so many people to go to nursing school. A lot of my nurses went on to NP school. I got NPs that went on and they're physicians now.
Mm.
And they always say, Ms. Robyn, you really inspired me. So I think it's important. I don't care if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, if you're into retail, somebody's watching you and they really are admiring what you do, but you have to develop a skill set to be able to transfer your knowledge. And you guys can relate to this, like, especially with the computer and IT and all of this
Mhm.
AI stuff coming out. Sometimes you might ask your children, like, I'm having a hard time trying to send this email and this and that. They just come in the room, do it for you, and keep going. And you're like, what did you do? Because we're a little bit older. That problem might pop up again, and I want to know how to do it myself. But they may not have the skill set, nor the patience, nor the capacity to teach. And
Mhm.
I've been so fortunate in my nursing career, from teaching nurses, working with physicians, new fellows coming in, new nursing students. So you have to adjust to your audience. And now, as I'm in my 60s and educating people that are older, you have to understand they carry a whole family on them.
That's right.
And they're like, I've got to get this straight because my great granddaughter, she thinks I got it all together. So financially, I think, especially as African Americans, we have to build generational wealth. And we can't do that if we don't understand. We can't run from these, bigger debts that, you feel like they're going to disappear on their own. With technology, we could live to be 100. So who wants to carry this elephant in the room all the way through life? So I
Mhm.
just think it's important to face it. And if I can help you, I tell you. If I can't, I explain to them some of the challenges that they're sharing with me and then take these steps and then come back to me. Sometimes, and if you're watching any news about these student loan debts, people are going into default. It's just been so many different things that are causing people to struggle with student loans in this, in this time and space. And so I just think it's important to learn as much as you can about student loans. Call someone like myself that, every other hour I'm getting updates. And I try to have my assistant disseminate that information as quickly as possible. So if it's something that can help someone, they don't necessarily have to hire me, but they can look at their own platform and say, let me see where I'm at. Let me see if this applies to me.
Oh, that was a mouthful of a wealth of information, starting from, just knowing your value. And sometimes people, I think they sit on valuable experiences and don't even realize it.
Right.
And it has an impact from all of the stresses that go on around the world. And it impacts us, and it kind of stagnate us and keep us from catapulting to, where God wants us. And
Absolutely.
And with that said, let's think about long-term impact. When you think about legacy, and I know you spoke a little bit about having to pass on generational wealth, right? What do you hope your work empowered, as far as empowering this generation and the next, to do differently?
I really want young people to look at not being college poor. And I say that from the heart because some of us went to school understanding that, okay, when I decide I want to go to school and be a nurse, okay, nurses now are coming out of school with a BSN with about $100,000 to $120,000 worth of student loan debt coming right out the gate in their 20s. Now, I had a little debt when I got out of school, but it was like from a credit card, maybe $800, little debt. But I cannot imagine being paralyzed with that much debt coming out of college. And so I think it's important when you say what you want to be when you grow up, look at options, whether it's a community college. I got my RN degree from a community college here in Richmond. And my first job paid for that money. I was done. It was quick payback. But when you're going away to nursing school and you're coming out with that kind of debt, but your first job only pays you $40,000 or $50,000 a year, the math is not mathing. So it's important now, I think, for this young generation to look at these things. Now, when I graduated, I end up, it's either you're going to get a job, you're going to the military, or you're going to college. Those were our options. This generation, they have a lot of other options. They can strongly look at trade school. They got AI opportunities. Online education is so much cheaper than going to a university. I have learned so much online. When you say you want to be an AI certified specialist, you can do some certification online and pay less than $10,000. But think about that going to a university. So just really take the time to look at options and look at, if I'm going to school and school is going to cost me $50,000 or $80,000, but the job market is not there. Look at the rates and make better decisions than we made, because I wasn't taught that. Let me speak for me. So when I'm speaking to young people, I especially talk to them about their future. If they tell me about the college they want to go to, I want to know why. And a lot of times it's the fun, it's the band, it's the parties, it's this. And I'm like, no. Think about what you're going there for. You can get that here. Don't just go to college and your parents are paying all this money, and vice versa for the parents. Look at the careers for your children, because once they get a job, nobody's going to really ask them what school you went to, how much you paid for it. Like as a nurse, people don't ask me, how many times did you take boards? What was your score? You are a nurse. You know, you are a doctor. You are a lawyer. Because remember, when you get into these kind of professions, that's entry level. The work hasn't started yet.
Mm-hmm.
They taught you just enough to get you in there. Now, the real world, the real job is going to give you the experience you need in the foundation. So don't get so caught up in going to big name schools that could haunt you the rest of your life. I was talking to a couple and I said, after you have this talk with your child, they may cry and be upset for a little bit because they want to go to Yale or Harvard or something like that that's real expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get in their 30s and 40s, they won't be crying every day because now I got all this debt and it's daily interest. So some people only borrowed $80,000. They owe $300,000 now. Mm-hmm. And they're like, how did it get so big? It's interest. You haven't been paying attention to it. And nobody's going to call you and say, hey, Helena, did you remember you have this student loan debt over here? You're like, no, that doesn't happen. You're on your own. You know you got the debt. So I think it's just real important to educate, give them opportunities to look at everything and going to a trade school or, you know, doing something. I'm not even going to say out of the box. We just didn't talk about it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At my high school, we had some classes that we could take, you know, for welding and cosmetology, stuff like that. But it wasn't pushed like, hey, this can actually be a business. This actually can feed your family.
Right.
Yeah. But now you have a lot of structures in place that teaches them business skills, how to make a cleaning business, a goal for you, a path. Entrepreneurship is a path out of high school now.
Mm, yes, that's beautiful. You know, having those kind of are thinking legacy and shifting generations is not just for, you know, it's for all generations and all individuals, which is great. And by you helping people manage their loan, you're helping them rewrite their financial story, which is an awesome task because, you know, like I said earlier, oftentimes we're not educated when, you know, we first start out because, you know, I went to a Jesuit college and right off the bat, it was $30,000 and that was in the 90s, right?
Wow.
And so I can't even imagine what they're paying now for education. I know I had started going back and it, you know, each semester it was running like $1,000 or so because it's just everything is so expensive, you know, to learn. But like you said, there's so much online, right? So much that we can actually do online to gain clarity, to learn, to be more valuable than what we are or what we are in school. Because like it, you know, it's theory we're learning in school. We're not doing the hands-on. So that's great. So
and just I'm sorry, just to add, it's free money out here too. It's scholarships, it's grants, and we have so much technology now to help you to fill out applications for grants and free money. Because a lot of times, you know, they want you to write all of this stuff, and that's what paralyzes people. They're like, I don't know what to put here. I don't understand this. But you can get better understanding by using AI to help you to understand what they're asking you. And there is money out there for school. And a lot of times, and this is something I noticed in my business, a lot of my clients are African American and mostly females because we are the most decorated out there and we believe in education. And, you know, a lot of single parents, you went to college, you say, hey, I've got to be able to take care of my family. we got plenty of men in school too, but the number of clients that I have, they're African American women. But it's just so important to remember that you didn't make a bad decision, but now you need to make better decisions moving forward, because not doing anything is the biggest mistake you can make, because it's going to continue to multiply. You know, you wish you could put your money in the bank and then multiply it like that daily.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't work like that. Yeah, you wish. So just don't be afraid to face things that look bigger than they are. Because trust me and believe me, when I tackled mine, because I was always calling and just getting confused. And once I did, I said, you know what? It's not that it's easy and it's not that it's hard. It's just getting clarity on what's going on and then saying, this is what I'm going to do. It's just like when you say, I'm going to buy a home. It probably made you nervous on the inside. Like, I'm getting ready to buy a house, 30-year commitment, blah, 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 blah. But you had to just start. You had to start. You had to go talk to somebody, and hopefully they were somebody nice and made you feel safe and that I can do this. And then you made it through. It wasn't overnight. There was a process, finding all this paperwork and doing this. And I feel like, the student loan process can be a little tedious, but I do everything I can to navigate it and make it as smooth as possible. And I can say my clients have been pleased with the service and they've been able to refer me. So I'm just trying to encourage people to not be afraid of that, because it does paralyze you from your buying power. And we as a community know what that means when we cannot purchase, we can't send our child to college. It really affects us all. It affects us all. And I tell women all the time, I love women that own their own business. And the reason I say that, because when we make money, we pour it back into our community. We go to church, we tithe, we put money in, because we know this is where our children are growing up. This is where our parents are. We want the community to be better. And we're willing, we're going to donate money. So I think it's important that women become powerful women, business owners, because they will give back.
Yes. So in closing, I love the fact that you're marketing yourself right here. You have your backdrop, you have your QR code, your name, your phone number, website, email address. Is there anything else that you would like to say in closing as something inspiring, a tip, and also, how can we get in contact with you? I see, you have your information there, but if you want to repeat it, it would be great.
Well, I'm on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, the Student Loan Navigator, and then, of course, Robyn Roots. You can always hit my personal page, because I have information on there, or send me a DM. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well. And just you could scan my QR code. I always do a 15-minute free discovery call. That way I can get baseline information to see if I can help you and work with you in any way before we move forward. Because I think it's important, when you don't know what's going on, sometimes you feel like, I'm not paying because I don't even know what I'm supposed to ask. I have questions for you as you use the Calendly link, and it helps us both to kind of know where we're going, and you'll feel more comfortable. Because sometimes people just say, I owe a lot of money. I know it's a lot. And I say, so how long have you had this lot of money? And they'll say 20 years. And I said, okay, we're going to be fine. And it's an opportunity for me to just kind of walk with them wherever they're at. And for me, I have some upcoming events. I'm going to be at a conference in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I love to be a vendor. I used to, do some speaking, but I love to be a vendor if I had to choose, because it gives me more time with the community. I'm able to talk to the people more when I have my own little station set up, as opposed to, just talking at people when I'm presenting. So like I said, North Carolina. And then on February 26th here in Richmond, I'm going to be at the Tuckahoe Library in collaboration with Tuckahoe High School. And they're doing a leadership conference where the students that are interested in entrepreneurship will get to meet some entrepreneurs and, ask questions and just share with them that role, which I think is an excellent program that they're doing. And then also on February 26th at Stony Point Mall, in collaboration with the Metropolitan Business League, they're celebrating Black Enterprise 2026, where businesses will be out there to connect with the community. So I will be there as a student loan navigator. And then in March, I'll be in Tampa, which is my hometown, at a conference, Nurses Making Business Moves. And I'm excited about that because I service all clients, in different jobs and specialties. However, being a nurse myself, working for the government, anybody that works with the city, the state, federal, you're in alignment to apply for student loan forgiveness because you work for a lot of underserved areas. So it's important for people to understand that too. And so I try to, screen my clients and let them know some of the benefits that they may not even see for working with these organizations. And talking to my nurses and doctors that are just starting, they might work for agencies where they're making a lot of money. But this is a huge benefit to leave on the table. And I tell my nurses, you've been a nurse 2 years and running travel, making big money. But think about this. If you were to get a job with a nonprofit hospital, government agency, and give them 10 years, because all you need is 120 qualifying payments. Just think if you can get rid of that $130,000 just from working your regular job. You're just working, but you're gaining those payment credits. And now 10 years later, you don't have that debt. You're ready to buy your home now. Credit looking good, everything. And so I had a gentleman, he actually started working for a nonprofit, doing the same type of work he had been doing as a lawyer, because he was like, I did not know that. Because a lot of people volunteer all over, but they're not getting paid. They're not, putting themselves in a position to get forgiveness. So just educating, working with different ministers that got a lot of debt because they have to get their doctorate degree and all of these different degrees, not knowing that that's a nonprofit. Let's get to work. So it's just important that we educate the community and help them to get rid of this debt, because that'll give us more buying power. It'll help us, build our community up, because now we got resources. I know people say money is not everything, but money is necessary to make change. And give your time, of course, to your community. But if you can cut a check, it'll move some things. It really will. So, I'm an advocate for that. I'm going to donate. I'm going to sow back into my community, because I know the world is waiting for all of us, gifts that you have. So I think it's important if, got a seed in you and you're like, hey, I need to do something with this. You solve real problems for real people, your business will always expand.
Absolutely. One thing that even as a young girl in grade school, my teacher would always say, about having an oyster, right? We are and the world is our oyster, right? And I love her saying that, and I remember that, and it always helped me to be able to feel better and to be able to move forward, even if things are not going the way that it should. So
absolutely.
I really thank you for your wisdom, for your transparency, and for just equipping us with practical tools to move from confusion to clarity. Your work reminds us that when we understand our options, we can reclaim our power. And that's the key, right? So on behalf of WNC Lagniappe Live with Helena, the Business Spotlight, and everyone watching today, thank you for the impact you continue to make. So let's give Robyn another round of applause, guys.
Thank you so much.
And to the viewers, thank you for spending your time with us today. We do not take people coming on lightly because people have things to do. Everybody's doing something, right? But we don't take it lightly. So thank you for being a part of this community. And Robyn, I would also like to invite you to our luncheon. We have a luncheon that we meet once a month over at Expectation in Stony Point Mall, and we get started about 11:45 this month. It's going to be a grand month because one, it's my birthday month. It's my
Okay.
birthday month, and because I'm from New Orleans, and lagniappe is a word that we use from New Orleans that mean a little something extra. I will be bringing a little something extra for
Okay.
a king cake, and we're going to have the
Okay.
little small souffle cups that you can get a little taste of jambalaya. So if you
Okay.
can come share with us, I would love to have you. The other thing is that if you're interested, we also are looking for speakers for WNC Lagniappe Luncheon. So if you want to come and share, that you have some great resources. I know there are a lot of people out there, like I guess like myself, how you say, who need.
It's okay. I got you. I got you. I'm gonna tell you, I have been to a couple of your luncheons last year, in between travel and stuff. And I said I'm gonna do better in 2026.
Absolutely.
So I'm so honored for this opportunity. And I came to one of the events and I got probably about 5 clients
Oh,
from that.
wonderful.
Yeah, and it's continually to evolve. And
Mhm.
I'm just grateful. So I'm gonna try to make the next one, and I would love to, speak to the group. But it's just a blessing what you're doing, because
Thank
community is rare, especially when you running a business.
you. Mhm.
This kind of adventure, I call it an adventure. It can get lonely
Oh,
because you don't have all your teammates around, when you work like in a corporation, to cheer each other on and let's go get some
mhm.
coffee. And it's not like that. You have to look and get yourself out the chair and go get a snack or get lunch. And then when it's one of those days where you don't see forward moving,
Mhm.
got to just know that there are going to be peaks and valleys. And so I'm grateful for what you do, because I've met, a lot of people, and I told them I didn't start here. And
Mhm.
that's the best part about entrepreneurship. To me, it's like aging. It's cycles to it. It's seasons for it.
Mhm.
So to have been a nurse and then a filmmaker and now
Mhm.
really getting into that financial space heavily, it's a full circle for me. It's a full
Now,
circle. So
I didn't talk about that filmmaker. I would like, if you don't mind,
let's talk.
share something about. Tell me a little bit about that filmmaking. What have you done with filmmaking?
Well, I'm glad you asked. As you know, being a nurse for so many years, man, I heard so many amazing journeys that my patients had, and my goal was to write a book.
Mm.
And when I got ready to write a book, a classmate, almost, well, he was a neighbor. He lived next door. I used to babysit him. He called and said, "Hey, I've gotten into the film industry." He needed what they call executive producer to help finance the project. I had no knowledge of nothing. I said, listen, I don't know nothing about it. He was like, and he kept explaining. So I said, okay. Let me see. And had the opportunity to meet with the team online. And really, it intrigued me as a nurse. And he was always impressed, saying, you're a leader, you've been doing this. I know you can help us. And so, anyway, made a decision to fly down to Orlando and meet the team in person before I decided. And little did I know, the writer, director, and producer, he was paralyzed in a wheelchair.
Oh my.
but on our calls, could not,
You don't know.
but
Can't tell.
nevertheless, it was a beautiful connection. Fell in love with film that day. And that's been about 8 years ago. I've got about 14 projects, and they are on various platforms. 2020 Year the Nurse is my first huge feature, and wrote, directed, and produced along with William Roebuck out of Orlando, and just an amazing team. So 2020 Year the Nurse captured COVID in real time. It talked about discrimination in the healthcare field, mental health, and how it collided with Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I have been shopping it around, touring it since 2021. And it has got a proclamation for from the governor for the work that we've done. And also the mayor of Fredericksburg. We are headed to Florida in May.
Mm.
Yes, we're headed to Florida in May with 2020 Year of the Nurse to also get proclamations and awards for my nurses and all the great work that they've done. And so film for me is an extension of storytelling, because a lot of times you're teaching in a small space. There's so many people that need help.
Mm.
So film allowed me to expand on things, and then it showed how you can go from one profession to the other, and they marry together well.
Mm.
And so I have a tattoo on my arm with nursing and film. They marry so well together.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was received well in the film industry, even though I didn't have a film degree.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at film just like I looked at nursing. You bring me a problem, we create a plan, we execute, and then we evaluate.
Right.
And with me, I was always financially conscious, so it didn't take months or weeks to create something.
Mm-hmm.
It really was organization, focus, and one of the things I laugh about all the time with some of my friends. When I got into film, it was always crowded on the set, and I didn't allow that on my sets because you came to work. I don't take my children to work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take my friends to work. I'm going to work to work. And so it allowed me to really infuse some of my principles and help them to understand, if you only got a certain amount of money, you got to lay out a plan so it works.
Mm-hmm.
So funding, it doesn't have to cost as much as you think to make a film, but if you got all these glitz and bells and whistles that don't really need to be there, then it can get expensive. So I'm excited about that chapter in my life. It's definitely not over, because I know that what I'm doing now, I've met so many amazing people that it's just so much you can do once you learn these different skill sets.
Yeah.
So nurse turned filmmaker, and now, student loan navigator.
Well, I think and that's great. And I know you have visited us before, but what
Yes.
I was implying is that you can come as a guest speaker to share what you have here, because it's important. A lot of us don't know all that we have or that's available to help us
Right.
in that sphere. And far as the technology piece, I sometimes struggle with the stuff, trying to get the videos and all of that, but I stay in my lane. Those are
That's
little
right.
things that I can gather and do, but anything big, like you're talking about production, hey, I have to hire an independent contractor to do stuff like that. But it's just wonderful that we do have the resources to allow us to do the various things that we do. And I'm just grateful that we do have it. But again, thank you for showing up today. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go and share my my closing video to
Okay.
close out our live. And for those of you again who are watching, the viewers, thank you so much again. And until next time, stay empowered, stay connected, and keep building with purpose. So give me one moment.
Thank you for spending time with us on Lagniappe Live with Helena, the Business Spotlight. We go live Wednesdays at noon, and we'd love for you to meet us there. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube so you never miss a spotlight, and join our Facebook community, where the conversation continues, connections are made, and support shows up in real time. If today's conversation resonated with you, we'd love to stay connected. Please share it with someone who needs to hear it, or come back and watch the replay. This is a community, and there's always room for you here. Until next time, keep showing up, standing out, and doing what you do best.
Innate us and keep us from catapulting to, where God. That's the video showing. It's behind.
Okay. Stop recording.
It's recording now.